What's up, guys? Welcome to Anything Garage. I am Jaime, and today we got ourselves a very special episode. We got a brand new go-kart, two-seater, full suspension version of a Manco Dinko. This is a Manco Intruder. We are going to be installing a Tillotson 212 on it. Mod the 212 a little bit. It's going to be very fast, very scary, very unsafe. There's no harness on this. So while we just picked this go-kart up, and it is basically a complete rolling chassis, nothing really wrong with it. There is a couple things that is wrong with it. I put air on them already and they just leak out, and I don't feel like patching them because they're old already. So I got new tires, front and back. And the other thing is the axles on these are 7/8 hex, not a 1-inch live axle, which I was slightly disappointed. I did not know these had a hex axle, but we are going to be converting this thing into a 1-inch live axle, and with that comes new wheels, sprockets, brake discs, wheels, because these wheels use a 7/8 hub or whatever for the wheel. All the stuff I did get comes from Go Power Sports, so everything you need for go-karts or mini bikes, Go Power Sports has it. They have everything from old school vintage to new things, and everything custom you can build at Go Power Sports. We took off the axle, took the flanges off, the caliper. One thing I did not mention, oh, look at these brake pads, is that I'm not going to be reusing this mechanical caliper. They're good on a smaller cart, less powerful cart, but it will not work for this because that 212 is going to be too powerful. And I'm not a 100-pound kid, so we're gonna be using hydraulic brakes with the 6-inch disc, and it's gonna be a lot better, more stopping power. Here is our new axle, 42 inches, same as the old axle, and then our flange, the bearing inside, and there's one off because I tried to see if the original mounting for the flanges of this old one were the same, and they are. So lucky for me, I do not have to weld this on here. I'll just use the existing ones. So I already put that one there. I'm gonna put this one, just the flange, on that side, and then slide the axle through. I also got a bunch of lockers. There's 10 of them. And then this is our brake caliper and rotor, and this is our caliper and master cylinder with the reservoir. This is pretty cool, I mean. And then we have our 60-tooth 420 sprocket with the two piece. You have to buy this and this disc separately. I just mounted it on here. Okay, so our axle is on. Now I have to figure out how to work the brake caliper, and what I'm gonna do is take off this rod. I have no idea what this is, and the old mount for the caliper. I'm gonna use this angle iron, put it in there just like so. I'm gonna cut kind of like an arc here and an arc over there, so it would go down a little bit lower. And I also have to cut an arc right here because the caliper mounting holes have a piston in the way, so there has to be kind of like an arc to make it work. This is our old brake rod. We will no longer be using this rod. That goes all the way to the pedal. All the way to the pedal. Our spring-loaded pedal. But now we have a heavy-duty brake cable that ends with an eye on both sides. One eye is going to go on our master cylinder here with the nut. It will pull, and then it will push this piston inside, and brake stuff happens. And the other eye on the other side will now take the place of the rod. All I do is take off this bolt. No more rod. Now it is a cable, heavy duty brake cable. Also, this go-kart happens to have this extra thing. I don't know what that was. I'm gonna get rid of this, cut it here, turn it this way, and use that as a bracket for the brake cable somewhere else. Okay, so this is the bracket I made for the caliper, and came to Home Depot to get the nuts for this caliper because they don't provide you with any, and that makes sense. They don't provide you with any because they don't know how you're gonna make it. This is how I made mine. This is going like this. The disc is right here. But what I did is I made the arc right there, the arc right there. It fits nicely on the frame. Instead of making an arc right here for the piston to fit, I just put two risers instead and made two holes for it, so you can have the bolts go through, and they actually thread onto this caliper. This caliper has threaded holes, which is an M8 1.25 thread, and they have to be just the size. They cannot be too long or the bolt will hit the disc when you start losing some pad. But I did two washers on that side, two washers on that side to fill in the gap from this angle iron, and then to make you can use more washers if you have a longer bolt, but 2 and 2 for me worked fine to make it flush. But I'm actually going to use a lock washer on the end, the last one there. Alright, so this is what I was talking about. It arcs. Now you pick it up a little bit with your hand, weld it. Same on that side. And you'll align it, line it up. And then this should, it's hard to do with one hand, but that should turn once it's welded. And this is where our old bracket used to be. That was easy to take off with the angle grinder. But it's good height, the disc. And this angle iron is gonna hold this whole caliper. If I need to strengthen it up a little bit more, I can always grab some more angle iron or flat iron from up here to down here or something, and the same on that side here. But this is already pretty strong. It should be good, but that is how our caliper is going to be set up. I think it looks okay. Every cart is going to be a little bit different. This one is how I'm doing it, and maybe you can come up with something better, but this is how I'm doing it, and I think it looks okay. Maybe should hold up though. Okay, our brakes are finished. This is the caliper with everything welded on. Like I said, there's a lock washer and then a washer and then 2 washers. And then I put a little bit of Loctite on it. Here is our eye holding this part. And then this is 2 angle irons, except one piece doesn't have the angle on it. To extend it that way, this is our bracket for our master cylinder. Made 2 holes, 2 bolts holding it. And then on the other side, we have our other eye. There's a cutout, kind of like how you can see. You can't see, but there's a cutout right here. So this bolt would go in, and then, you know, just weld it. And then our brakes. Pull. So I should mention that these brakes come pre-bled, so there's no bleeding. You just bolt it up and go, and everything works fine. I also forgot to mention that I am a master zip tie mechanic, and I'm holding in my reservoir with the zip tie, so should be good. Alright, next step is to open up this Tillotson 212 box and take the motor out, and we're going to mount it on the go-kart before we put any keys and tighten anything up. Get the right measurements from each side of the wheel for the axle. Before we do all that though, you know, we gotta mount the engine and see how it looks. But first, we're gonna do a stage 1 on it. Shouldn't take too long. I am going to be removing this whole throttle assembly. This is part of the stock carburetor throttle, and I'm not going to be using all this stuff. I hate the stock carburetors. They're just janky pieces of crap. I'm just going to remove all this because I'm using a Mikuni carburetor. I recommend you use one of those too. You can use a Mikuni clone, like a VM22 Mikuni clone. That is miles better than the stock carburetors they give you. And I'm also going to be removing the governor, so let's get to it. I need a new gasket. So I think why this one ripped is because they put glue on it. Other engines I had, they don't have glue on it, but oh well. It is what it is. Just get a new one, no big deal. Here is the inside of our engine. What we gotta do is remove that plastic gear in there. That is the governor. Alright, I'm gonna show you guys how to remove a governor without showing you guys how to remove a governor. There's a bunch of videos on the internet I just didn't get to record me doing it, but this is how basically there is this lever up in here with the washer and this rod. This washer is inside. Make sure you take that washer out when you take this lever out. How do you take it out? You cut it with the angle grinder, pull it out, and then take the lever from the bottom off. And then there is a governor gear that is in here. Maybe you can see it. It is in there. It looks just like this. What you do is you take this thing out. Only that plastic part will come out. This shaft is going to be inside there along with the gear. You will not be able to take it off unless you try real hard and waste a bunch of time doing it. Easy way to do it is you turn this puppy bad. Whoops. The other side like this. You remove your cover, flywheel cover. Take your bolt out with an impact gun or air gun in reverse. And the way you take the flywheel off is you put your nut back in just enough before it goes all the way in, just like that. You grab yourself a sledgehammer, a hand sledgehammer, hit it 2-3 times until you feel the flywheel come loose. Take the flywheel out, put that inside. Here is gonna be your governor shaft hole. All you do is you grab a punch and a hammer, put it in there. This whole thing comes out, throw in the trash or whatever, and then these two holes, that one and the governor one on top up here, you grab yourself a bolt just like this, 1/4 inch, 28 pitch. I got mine 3/4 inch length. You put a brass washer on it, and then blue or red, preferably red, I used blue, thread locker, Loctite, and with the impact gun, no need for tapping. It will just go in because it's an aluminum block, and it will just go in. Don't go too hard on it or you might mess up the threads or something. You might overdo it. You know, you'll feel it until it hits the bottom. Give it a couple more cranks, and then both your holes are covered now. And then you put it back together just like so. Read the specs for your engine. I think mine is 55 foot-pounds to put it back. And that is how you take the governors off. Guys, that's it for this episode of the Manco Intruder Tillotson 212 build. On the next episode, we're going to be putting the engine on, tires, and installing the Mikuni carburetor. And then we're going to go for a ride, so that's going to be a lot of fun. But that's it for this one. We'll see you shortly on the next one. I'm Jaime, this is Anything Garage, and thanks for watching.